So idam tu atra avadheyam yadyapi ekasyaha bhashayaha ekavamsha utpannatvam nisargataha tathapi paribhramati kale navanava uditan abhiprayan avishkartum vijatiya bhashabhyaha padasvikaraha syat. So we looked at what are all the classifications of the study of language. So comparative philology is usually also considered as historical linguistics in modern language. So we are tracing the history of the different languages. So languages need not come only from its source. Because of the social interaction and everything, there can be inputs from other languages also. So how can we understand eppadi abdingiradha, that he is going to give us some examples in this next section. That is vimarshakastu sukshma ikshanikataya. He has to look subtly at the words and try to fix where it could have come from. Tattad bhashiya shiksha dharmadibihi. Shiksha could mean from that particular original source, or how the language is being used. Dharma, the social customs that are constrained by it, those all contribute to the input of the language, or the vocabulary of that language. So dingmatram udahriyate. For example, Indo-European, then you have modern Persian. From Semitic, you have Arabic. So these are so Semitic, Indo-European is one branch of languages. Semitic is another branch of language. Persian comes from Indo-European. It has nothing to do with Semitic. Arabic comes from Semitic languages. So these are different branches. Pinadi, he is going to talk about the different branches that existed in the world, and to which all of the languages today can be clubbed into. Adila, Persian comes under Indo-European languages and Arabic comes under Semitic languages. Atra modern Persian bhasha Arabic bhasha taha vyavahara upayogitaya padani swikaroti iti tanmulakatvam adhyavasiyeta sthula matibihi. If you are looking only at the broader perspective, in our mind, what do we think? Oh, Persian Arabic should be the same. In a modern thing, we always think that Persia is in that Gulf area. Arabic is also from that area. They both should have a common source. Iti vayam prayaha swikurmaha. But that's not the case. If you analyze the words and everything, they both come from different branches of languages. So modern Persian bhasha, Arabic bhasha taha, from Arabic, vyavahara upayogitaya padani swikaroti. It takes a lot of words from Arabic for ease of communication. Vyavaharam yadi pashyamaha tarhi, for the ease of communication, we take in a lot of words from Arabic. Tanmulakatvam adhyavasiyeta. You could give the source as Arabic for Persian, looking at just these words. It is sthulamatibihi. People who just look at the broader perspective, looking at some of the words, they will think, oh, what Arabic has come from, or Persian has come from Arabic, because these are all taken from Arabic. Abdina, it could be construed, but that's not the case. Tathapi vimarshaka drishtya, if you are an analyzer, from that perspective, Indo-European bhasha eva moola bhuta bhavati, then you will come to the conclusion that it is only Indo-European, which is the family it belongs to. Arabic bhasha taha padasvikarasya tu sankaryameva moolam. Sankaryam is contamination. That is there. Pirichu solla mudiyadu. It's a sankara. It completely நம்ம இது சொல்றோம் இல்லையா, க்ஷீரநீர நியாயம் in alankaras, the same meaning da here. So it is completely contaminated and merged with the existing Persian language. Atra evam kaschit pratyapatistheta. Someone might understand this in this manner, in this following manner. So tatvaryam evam bhavati ayam bhavaha abdingirom இல்லையா. Bhashayaha jeevanadi nama pada upadanam eva. A language is living. The source or the living breath of a language is the capacity to take in more words. Another, the accommodation and the flexibility that a language gives, that flexibility makes a language grow. Adnala bhashayaha jeevanadi is pada upadanam, taking in words from other languages. Tathacha ya bhasha swakosha samriddhyartham bhashantarat padani swikaroti. That language which in order to increase its own vocabulary. The dictionary keeps increasing. Every year, Cambridge comes out with a newer edition of Oxford comes with a newer edition of dictionary. Yeah? So a language is growing only if it can accommodate newer words into its vocabulary. So Swakosha Samriddhyartham Bhashantarat Padani Swikaroti, it takes in words from another Bhasha. Tarhi Nishesham Swamoolavamshena Bandhavyam Parakritya Nutana Bhashaya Swikrita Bhavet. Then what happens is, when it starts taking words from other languages, it is possible that it can completely be dissociated from its original source language, and Bandhavyam Parakritya, completely ignoring the relationship with the original languages. Nutana Bhashaya Swikrita Bhavet, it could be taken as a new complete Bhasha. That is what happened to all the newer languages that came about. Utpatti bandhavyam, kosha bandhavyam cha mishri karthum na yuktam. It is not advisable to completely connect its source relationship and the vocabulary relationship. Koshagata padajalam yadi bhashayaha parampara vibhage niyamakam na bhavati tarhi kim anyate. If we are not able to determine the parampara, the history of a language using the vocabulary that is present in the language, then what do we use to determine the history of the language? We can only look at the words that are there today. But if most of the words there are borrowed words, what do we base on to understand the origin of the language? Uchyate. Now he says, Koshagata Shabdajalam Vyakaranam cha. You have to input Vyakaranam also in it. We may have borrowed words from there, but we would have changed it in such a manner that it suits the Vyakaranam of this language. Yeah, Ada Pakanam. So Yadyapi Shabdajalani Nutanataya Bhashantarebhyaha Samahritani. Even though the words have brought in as new words from another language, tatapi shabda nishpatti prakaraha tu sutaram navikriyate. The etymological derivation of the words, or how the words are used in the language, ஒரு வேற்றுமை உருபுகள் போட்டு நம்ம பண்றோம் இல்லையா, like vibhakti or conjugation, how it is used, that will never change. That sort of a grammar would be very inherent to the language. The words may be different, but you will automatically change it to suit your own language here. Like, for example, if you say Kannan is a word in Tamil. No? If you want to use that in Sanskritam, someone says, Mama nama Kannahambana, அப்படிங்கணும் இல்லையா, கண்ணகஹா அப்படின்னு சில பேர், கண்ணன் மகோதயான்னு மகோதயா சேர்த்துருவா. Or some people change that original Kannan word or Murugan word into a Sanskritam word using Visarga, etc. Murugaha, Kannaha அப்படின்னுடுவா. It is a Tamil word, but then they have adopted it. So Nishpatti becomes easier. I can use it in Dvitiya, Tritiya, Murugena evam kritam. அப்படிங்கலாம். That is one way of adoption. The other way of adoption is to just retain the word and add varya, mahodaya, etc. to that. So sutaram na vikriyate. The nishpatti prakara, my vibhakti prakara is not going to change at all. Tatra yadi vikaraha syat tarhi sa vikaraha vyakarana prakriya laghukarana rupaha eva syat. If there is a change, then the change accommodates only as far as the grammar goes. To simplify the grammar prakriya, I adopt the change as much as so that I can use my grammar rules here. Only to that part I am accommodating other words, other language words. Natu bhashantariya nutana vyakarana prakriya swikarana rupaha. Bhashantariya vyakaranam tu atra na swikriyate. संस्कृत व्याकरणमेव स्वीकृत्य अन्य भाषासु अत्र उपयुज्य संस्कृत व्याकरणं तत्र अध्यारोपं कुर्मः. We don't take in Tamil grammar and put in here. We don't say Muruganai aham pashyami. We don't do that. We don't mix the two languages in that manner. Right? So vyakaranam tu atra na agacchati, kintu vocabulary alone comes into this language. भाषान्तरेभ्यः शब्दस्वीकारः नाम एकस्याः भाषायाः पौनःपुन्येन भृशं वा सम्पद्यते. How is it possible? Why are we taking the words from other languages? Bhashantarebhyaha shabdasvikaraha nama ekasyaha bhashayaha paunaf punyena bhrisham va sampadyate. It is possible by repeatedly using that language also. By association, there are so many words that have creeped into Sanskritam also from the local languages. Simple things like panam. Panam is a word in Sanskritam which indicates money. These are words that have come in from that also, because we are frequently using those words in that particular sense. If you look at Dandin, Dandi is a Tamilkara. So you look at Dashakumara Charitam, there are many words that he has used from Tamil here. So in that manner, Yadacha Shabdajalani Sadrishya Vishaya Sandeham Avahanti Tarhi Vyakarananiyamakam Eva Mahadupakaroti. So when the words give us, if there is a lot of similarity in that case, then we have to look at Vyakaranam to determine what is the source language. Like when we see Persian and Arabic, we see a lot of similarities in the words that are being used. But only when we look at the Vyakaranam, we know that this is different. For example, Malayalam and Sanskritam. You look at the words that very classical Malayalam movie, the words that they use are all Sanskritam. Then you're so much doubt whether they are speaking Sanskritam or Malayalam. Then you look at the Vyakaranam arrangement of the words, you understand that no, the inflectional and all is very Malayalam. It is not Sanskritam. Then you can distinguish using Vyakarana. एकवंश उद्भवानां भाषाणां विषये इदम् अन्यत् अवधेयम् अस्ति. We get into a little technical things here. When you are analyzing languages which are from one family, these are other things that you have to keep in mind when you are analyzing. बंधु भाषाः सर्वाः अपि सोदर्यः स्वकूटस्थ भाषातः एव प्रकृति शब्दान् स्वीकुर्वन्ति इति नायम् एकान्तः. It is not definite that all of the related sister languages take their root words only from the unchanging original language. Kutasthangarada unchanging. Swakutastha bhasha, you take it as its original language. Okay, which is probably the unchanging common language between all of the sister languages. So bandhu bhashaha, the related languages, sarvaha api sodaryaha, they are all sister languages. Swakutastha bhashataha eva prakriti shabdan swikurvanti, they take only the moolam words from only their source languages. Iti nasti nayam ekantaha. This is not a particular rule. Why? Yadi A, B, C bhashaha parasparam samsaktaha. Let's say there are medieval languages of A, B and C. There is a Kutastha X bhasha, which is the original bhasha, from which all of these A, B, C have come. Mother language is X. X bhashataha utpannaha. These have all come from there. Tasam anyonyasyaha api Shabdasvikaraha bhavet, they could take from their own. They need not take only from the original X. B can take from A can take from C can take from B and A also. Possible. Tattat bhashiya shabdanstu tachat shiksha dharmaha pradarshayeyuhu. When we see the usage of those words, when we see the culture of those people and the way they use the words, we will understand where have they taken it from. Now, Sanskrit is Gauhu. In Greek, it is Baus. And to Latin, it is Bos. Kuhu is in German, whereas Kau in English, which is equal to IDG, Indo-Germanic language, Gauss. Keep this in mind. He is going to explain it. Atra padani naiva samagrataya sarupani. All of these words are not completely similar, the same. Illa. It is not the same. Ga, ba, ka. Ennalamo, there are differences there, right? So it is not sarupani, it is not similar. Parantu, yatkinchit samyam asman avarjya tattat bhashiya shiksha dharma dvara gaus iti prakritihi iti upasthapayati. Now, some sort of a similarity is there. If you look at this, house is very similar to this house here. The ga may be consonant may be different. Whereas in Latin and Greek, the ba is similar here. Okay. And the sa ending is also seems to be similar. In this kuhu, the ka is actually very similar to the cow here. The ka is a maruvinadu. Adavadhu, it is a transformation of the ga to ka in German. So some sort of a comparison we can try to look at these words. Adha solrar parantu yatkinchit samyam asman avarjya, it attracts us. Adavadhu, oh, manus, manu, manava, mortal, in the madri words, you know, mortal, marana அப்படிங்கிறோம். Very similar things like this. It increases our curiosity to analyze in that manner. So Tattad Bhashiya Shiksha Dharma Dwara, using the rituals and traditions of each or the training, learning, education and traditions of that particular language, what do? We go to the Prakriti. In the Madri, if there is a star here, that means it is the original language. Indo-European or Indo-Germanic language. Andamadri, you don't take it, it is the original Prakriti, he could have been this. Abdina we conclude. Iti upasthapayati. Atascha parampara vibhage na shabdanam akara atyanta abhedaha parantu akara sadrishyameva shiksha dharmadi. Shiksha dharmadi anugrahitam adaraniyam bhavati. So now what happens? How do we consider it? Parampara vibhage, when we are trying to divide based on the family of languages, shabdanam akara atyanta abhedaha. Abhedaha, na non-difference between the form of the word is not seen at all. We don't look at the words come apde gauhuna gauhunda irkanum. மாடுங்கிறது வித்தியாசமா போயிடுறது இல்லையோ, அது வேண்டாம் நமக்கு. கௌஹு காய், காய், then it is not similar அப்படிங்க முடியாது. காய் in Hindi, but it has come from gauhu. There is some sort of a similarity. We look at it. We don't look at the full identity of the shape. அதாவது ஆகார அபேதம் ந பஷ்யாமஹா, கிந்து ஆகார சாத்ரிஷ்யம் பஷ்யாமஹா. அதை மைண்ட்ல வச்சுக்கணும். Because it is based on shiksha, learning, dharma, the usage, ityadi anugrahitam adaraniyam. We have to give some importance to all of these things also. Yadi Greek bhashayam genos, Latin bhashayam genus, gairvanyam punaha janas, Angalyam Angla bhashayam kin iti vartate, shabdikastu तासाम परस्पर बांधव्यम पर्यालोच्य इंडो-यूरोपियन जीनोस मूलकत्वम तेषाम व्यवस्थापयेत. So you look at the different words in different languages. Greek has genos, Latin has genus, gairvanyam, Sanskrite tu janaha ityasti, jati ilya ada janaha, Angalyam kin iti vartate. There is a na, there is a ga becomes ka in certain languages. So Shabdikaha is a person who analyzes the sounds, look at the connection, relationship between these words, and then he could conclude, Vyavasthapayet, he could conclude the Mulakatvam, the source to Indo-European word genos. Ada. Bhasha vibhage kartavyam bahu asti. Now you understand why we are analyzing the family there. That is what we saw till now. Now we go into why we have to analyze and put them in this family. There is so much to do. What are all the parts that we are going to analyze? Adikku vara. Bhasha vibhage kartavyam bahu asti. There are so many things that we need to do in classification of languages. Bhashaha imaha etadvamsha utpannaha iti iyattaya nischitya vaktum na paryate. I cannot clearly say nischitya, by deciding I cannot say that esha bhasha etadvamshiya iti vaktum na shakyate. Katham bhede abheda anveshanam eva prani samanyasya naisargiki asha. Tatra bhashanam bhedaha vartante eva. Parantu, what are we trying to say? We are trying to look for similarities between those languages and saying, oh, this is the mother language. This has come from this has come from that. Avashyame illa. Many people, there is always an eternal fight between did Tamil come from Sanskritam or Sanskritam come from Tamil. You can treat those two as separate languages which have its own, moolam. That's all. There is no connection there. There have been interactions between the people who followed, who used these languages, and they have taken in words from this and words from that. There has been a mutual cooperation between the two languagists, the people who have spoken those languages. That's all. So, bhede, when there is a big difference, abheda anveshanam, trying to find an identification, is a natural wish of people. Prani samanyasya naisargiki asha. प्रत्यक्ष प्रमाणं तु नैव तत्र अस्मद् आशां सुलभतया पूरयेत्. What is evident will never, we know evidently that there is so many differences. There are so many differences between languages. Then our wish will never be fulfilled. We cannot find one common language and try to speak the same language over the entire world. That is a utopian thing. Dream world. That cannot happen in real world. Sukshma ikshanika hi tatra apekshate. So we have to look at things in detail. Tathapi kasanchana bhashanam paraspara sambandha vimarshakanam naiva sulabha. Even then, it is not easy to analyze certain languages. Now, the next sentence is completely racist sentence, but we have to understand that it comes from a different age and time when these words were not considered at all. So he also says the languages of people in Africa and in the Native American languages, mrigatulyanam bhashaha iti. So vimarsha saranim, it cannot be considered under analysis at all, is what he says. But it is difficult to understand those languages. They have their own history. Those languages also have a grammar in it. Because we don't understand, we can't dismiss those languages. But they were never considered because it was Europeans who started language analysis initially. It is only later that people thought that these branches also should come to other languages. Frederick Muller, Mahashayahatu, Mahata Prayasena Bhasha-shatam Ganayamasa, he counted only 100 languages. Mahata Prayasena, with a great effort, he counted 100 languages. In 18th century, 17th century, this is somewhere. So today, the landscape of this is very different. We are looking at history here. So, Adyapi Tadeva Asmabihi Astheyam. Even today, we are only taking that, is what he is saying. Bhasha Prapancha Madhye Pradhana Vamshaha tu ime. These are the 6 branches that he identified. That is, Muller identified these 6 branches. Indo-European language, Semitic language, Semitic na Arabian, Hebrew, idella Semitic. Ural-Altaic. Ural-Altaic is the Russian languages. Malayo-Polynesian, that is your Malaysia, Polynesian languages, Filipino, adella vardu, Polynesian languages. The Bantu of South Africa, so the African languages probably, and then the Dravidian of South India. Okay, this is one division that he made in his analysis. Now, with this, it is just the classification of the languages based on history is done. Now we are coming to the main subject matter, which is the morphological classification. Morphological classification is what when we analyze the words that are there and the nishpatti prakara. So padanam nishpatti prakara prayuktaha vibhagaha eva morphological vibhagaha. So we analyze the words here. Shabda nishpatti. Nishpatti is etymological derivation of the words. Shabda nishpatti prakare parasparam sadrishaha visadrishaha cha bhasha bhedaha. So in the process of coming to a word, what is the derivation that we use to come to a word? That parasparam sadrishaha, there can be similarities in 2 languages or there can be dissimilarities between 2 languages. This contributes to differences in languages. Techa krodi kritya uktanusarena vibhajyante. Having this in mind, krodi krityana, having that in mind. Ada madila vechundu artham. Literal meaning is you have it on your lap. Or here you can take it as listing. Kroda patram ngarche listing na artham. So having made a list of that, you can divide it into the following 3 classifications. Shabda nishpattau prakara trayam vartate. There are 3 ways in which you can derive a word. Tatra pratyartham samslesham antara ekaha vibhagaha. So the first type is called isolating type, which is where there is no connection at all. Samslesham antara, without mixture. Without any mixture, if there is a word, then it is called isolating or monosyllabic or radical. So sayam bhasha, isolating, monosyllabic, radical iti paribhashyate. Adhaadu, there will be prakriti, there will be pratyayam. அப்படியே நிற்கும், அவ்வளவுதான். there is no, இதெல்லாம் வந்து சைனீஸ், இந்தோனேஷியா, இது யதா சீன பாஷா, இந்தோனேஷியன் லாங்குவேஜஸ். இந்தோனேஷியால வந்து there were many native languages before, and then one king, he decided language is the best way to integrate the entire 17,000 islands of Indonesia. He decided it's the biggest archipelago in the world, archipelago. So he said language is the integrating factor. There are too many languages, so communication is difficult to know. He brought in this Indonesian language as the Matrabhasha, and that should be the national language, and everything he completely converted the entire 17,000 islands into brought it under this umbrella. Some people say yes, it is a good thing, you can bring it under this umbrella, but there are other native languages which are completely lost in this process. You don't even have people speaking those languages anymore. And the madri they've killed many local languages in that process. But that Indonesian language is the most easy language to pick up, because you have root word, you only use that root word for everything. There is no conjugations, alla contextual, you just understand. So it is an isolated monosyllabic radical language. Chinese is also like that. You have to, it is about how many characters have you learned. That is their level of proceeding in that language. It's not about first level exam, second level. And madri illa. I have learned 1,000 characters. I have learned 2,000 characters, 3,000 characters. So each character is a representation of one word. It can be even a representation of one sentence, one idea. And the madri avaloda language. So China Bhasha is isolated. Dvitiyaha vibhagaha agglutinating iti kathyate. Yatha the Turkish, Japanese. So agglutinating, some people feel that Tamil is agglutinating. Glue madri ottikaradu nu artham. That is, it just, there are conjugating things. Ipo namba Tamil edutundomna, Tamil is actually in between both the third inflectional and agglutinating. Agglutinating is you have the root word and the pratyayam, both the pratyaya and the idu அப்படியே ஒட்டிக்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கும். You cannot separate it. Whereas in the isolating, it is completely separate words, individual words. Inge வந்து you have, இப்போ வந்து பழம் அப்படிங்கிறோம், பழம், பழம், தை, பழம், அந்த மாதிரி ஐ சேர்த்துக்கிறோம் இல்லையா? You glue it with the word. The root word doesn't change at all. You are just gluing the pratyayam வேற்றுமை உருபு with it. That is called agglutinating type. This inflection, the Turkish or Japanese is also like that. Tritiyastu, inflectional, organic, or amalgamating. Agglutinating is just gluing two things together, whereas amalgamation is transformation. Inflectional, it complete organica, the word and the pratyaya joined together to form into a new word. Number bhu is the root dhatu. Bhu completely takes in pratyaya, it changes, it goes through stages. Bhavati, abdin vardu. Where is bhu? Where is tip? You only have semblance of it. It has completely combined into gold and copper into one gold ornament. You can't separate the sedaram and the gold there, impurities and the gold there. It is completely transformed into a new gold kind of thing. And the madri, the bhu dhatu has totally transformed into one bhavati. That is how most of Indo-European languages are. Atra Samskrita Greek adayah lakshyam. Okay. Now he goes into each particular type, how it exists, and he explains. So I've just given an introduction of the morphological classification. We'll go into the details next class. Chariya?